Hi, this is Paul Palmer. I've decided to talk today about computer system validation. It's, it's really because I've been asked a few times about providing training recently. And the principles of computer system validation haven't really changed, but I think there's a bit more of a focus on ensuring it's actually implemented and that you're operating a suitable system that validates your processes, your systems that you've got in place, but also you maintain as well. And then when you bring in a new one, you follow the appropriate process. Now, the V model is the most common one to use. And basically what you're doing is you're using your inputs and your outputs, verifying them one against the other. But is it really as easy as that? Well, yes and no. So a lot of the time, the longest part can be to actually align the two and demonstrate that this test did this function. Because you go from your internal user requirement spec. But what do you need before that? Well, actually, you need to think about how you're going to use it. So you're planning, aren't you? You're thinking, well, I need a new computer system. Or maybe you're replacing an existing one and you need to upgrade. Either way, you want to implement some sort of computerized system. It could be machine-based. It could be something that the operators interface with. It could be fully automated. It could be some sort of semi-automation that then you have to do inputs. There's a whole range of different options. It could be off the shelf, which is the simplest version without having to do any actual work. However, you still need to look at how you're going to implement. So off-the-shelf configurable is more common. And then, of course, you've got your bespoke full development that goes from nothing. Now, if you don't have a system in place, if you don't have procedures, a validation master plan, a SOPs to actually guide you through the process, to ensure that you follow all the stages and then the templates, the records that you need to allow you to actually do the work in a controlled manner. And then the sign-off stage is agreed. It can get really complicated. And although you've done the work, it can be quite hard to actually demonstrate you've done the work. So there's different choices. You can set up your full system, as we just described, or you can go for an automated implementation, which I work with a few companies who are willing to do that. But at the end of the day, it's about proving it works. Proving it works on an ongoing basis and not cutting any corners. Now, I think the first time I did a computer system validation was sometime in the 90s. And it failed. And it failed because I was taking a sample quite thoroughly, probably a bit more than some of the other people maybe, doing very specific cross checks, statistical sample. It was then BS 6001 we were working to, inspection by attributes, which I've used for a long time because, of course, I used that in microbiology in the 80s as well. But any case, back to the point. It failed, and it took them another 3 months to fix the configuration of the off-the-shelf computer system to make it work properly. So you do need to be really careful, very careful, to make sure that what you do is managed. Make sure you do the plan, you set up the user requirement spec, you get the functional spec and align it from the supplier. There's a bit more, of course, down here. DQ, RQ, OQ, PQ. It's the standard approach. And you can look at the ICH guidelines, you can look at the EU guidelines, even from the UK. But really, it's not the guidelines, it's the practical application that I can help with. Because the guidelines give you a lot of information, but actually implementing you need to understand. You need to know why you're doing it. You need to go some background detail. So that's why I provide training. But if, of course, you want to go further, I can support implementation as well, which strangely I actually enjoy. And I built my own computer, the first one, from components that the company I was working for they were throwing it away. So I went and built it myself. I wouldn't say I was a computer genius, but basically I took 3 computers, 2 desktops and 1 tower. Anybody that knows how to build a computer will know what I mean. Put them in a room, swapped them out, one to the next, until one of them worked. I did, of course, put them all into the tower with the 3 hard drives rather than just one, because I didn't want a tiny computer. After all, they were throwing it away. There must be something that wasn't up to what they needed to be able to spend the time. Well, I got triple the size, and it worked. And it allowed me to do my university course, actually do my dissertation on that one, I believe, among other things. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So that's Paul Palmer. If you'd like to know a bit more about computer system validation, or even how I can support you with it, because it's a very specific field, and it really helps if you get the training rather than trying to work it out for yourself. Okay, so that's Paul Palmer. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.